PlayStation the 5th. It exists.
PlayStation 5.
It exists. Yes, we were talking about that quintuple.
Yep.
And it's coming out.
It's real.
We've seen it.
And it's huge.
It's a large console. And I think the more I think about it, the less I like the way it looks.
Oh, come on.
I don't know.
Going
man.
the opposite.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I like them both. I like both the new boxes in their own unique way.
They're both audacious. I'll give them that. I think they
Yes.
are both just like, fuck it, man. We're doing this.
Every
What's
time
up?
I look at the PS5, I get a little more excited that they went with that. And also, now that people are trying to size it up and determine just how big it is and coming across just how big it is, I'm getting even more excited by this gigantic fucking V-shaped nonsense. It's so
V has
fucking
come
crazy.
too.
So I had assumed that this was the case, but you said somebody from Sony was on record today saying like they made it that big for heat reasons.
Might not have intentionally been on the record, but GameSpot picked up this story via VG247 that the VP of UX design, Matt McLaurin, replied to a commenter on LinkedIn who was wondering why it was so big. And the reply was, thermals. This gen is little supercomputers. While the 7-nanometer process delivers amazing heat performance for the power is very extreme.
Yeah.
Very extreme.
I mean, he's not
power.
wrong. He's not wrong.
Yeah.
Like it is, I mean, it is. It's like a fucking well-equipped gaming PC in a tiny box, right?
Yeah, totally.
You can only make that so small.
Yeah, so that maybe I think and I bet that they heard it a lot about the jet engine like effects of the PlayStation 4. So if they can overcorrect on the size and get a cooler, quieter device, then
I've never understood the obsession with super thin, tiny consoles. Like people got shelf space, right?
They're cute. I don't actually.
I'll
I need
take
them to fit into little rectangles like this big, and if they don't, I got to find space for them. And I don't have it on top of my TV.
I'll take big and quiet over.
All right,
over little.
Just duct tape it to the back of your TV.
Yeah, wall
like that
mounted.
picture of the guy at the LAN party playing CS:GO on the roof, like duct tape to a
There you
vent.
go.
Just do that to your consoles.
Yep.
Yeah, problem solved.
Gosh, I don't even know where to start with this thing. Do you think it comes with the stand? It has to, right?
Yes.
I
it has to.
Like it.
Yeah.
Am I mistaken? Like I feel like all the angles they've been putting out, I just feel like I'm staring at a Salvador Dali painting or whatever. Like I can't like wrap my head around the physicality of that thing. But it looks like to lay horizontal, both models need a stand. Is that correct?
Maybe, I don't know. The PS2 they sold vertical stands and horizontal stands.
The horizontal stand is back.
Yeah. So
Truly,
we're finally
truly celebrating the grand history of the PlayStation brand.
Definitely, man. I mean, like you say that, but I'm fucking psyched at how dumb that is. Like, yeah. I don't know if they have to include both stands or what the situation ends up being there. I doubt they would default to it being vertical. So if they were going to sell one stand, I assume it would be the vertical stand. That's traditionally, I think, how they did it, at least in the U.S.
Are we sure it's not one stand that works?
That was my impression.
Both
Really?
ways.
Okay, I guess I'd have to look at the pictures and maybe maybe that makes more sense. If it's just a single stand.
Maybe I can't say for sure for the digital edition. Also, they're making a digital edition without a disc drive.
Yeah.
But at least for the one with the disc drive, it looks like it has to have some kind of stand because that thing bulges out underneath.
Yeah,
from what I can tell.
Oh, yeah,
it's
totally.
strange. It's fucking weird.
It's a weird shape. You can't quite. It's the first non-Euclidean console,
right?
Somehow,
It's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside.
Jim Ryan's in there holding a press conference right now.
That's right.
I can't believe someone said it while we were streaming it, and I was like, oh haha. But like, there were people that really thought that all those guys were CG rendered in that thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no, no.
It was, I think it was a combination of like
just weird lighting on their
lighting,
green screens because everyone had to film at home. So
and then they were probably
weird.
shot at like 60 FPS, and then they were presented in a lower FPS. That could throw things off too. Like I think it was just a lot of weird factors at play.
I would love to know if they shipped like a green screen kit to every one of those presenters. Just like here's a camera and a green screen. Set this up. We want everybody to look as uniform as we can.
Some lights. Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that what they announced and what they went through, like, we talked about it at the time, but like, Sony didn't really have a lot of information out there about, like forward facing consumer information, right? It was like, hey, let's talk about your ears and whatever else. And it was nice to see a bulk of information about games that will be coming to the console. I think they did really well at showing things that more closely approximated real gameplay.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. I think after the fact, like given some time to sift through it all, you definitely start to look at what they showed and go like, oh, most of these games are not coming out this year. What does launch look like for PS5? And then all the kerfuffle around the nature of that Spider-Man game certainly didn't help.
I'm still only mostly sure where we're even at with that at this point.
So it is.
I know that, and some also like Sony executives, or a Sony executive said something that implied that
it was remastered.
Well, we should say what it actually is. It's Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales is the name of the game.
Great name for a video game.
Expansion? That's branding, man. You just layer them on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they announced it, and it seemed like it was a full-on new game during the presentation. And then
they led with it. They were like, "Here's the new Spider-Man." And you're like, "Oh, awesome!"
Second game they showed. The first game they showed was GTA 5.
Grand Theft Auto 5.
Sorry, yes, Grand Theft Auto 5.
But a Sony executive made some comments that made it sound like it was an expansion to a remastered version of the original game. And then Insomniac got out there and said, "This is a standalone." I'll just read the Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales is the next adventure in the Marvel's Spider-Man universe. We will reveal more about this standalone game at a future date.
But it still sounds like it is perhaps more of a
First Light kind of.
Sony,
like an infamous First Light or like an Uncharted Lost Legacy or whatever.
Like I forget what Lost Light was, but Last Light. Wait, First Light?
First Light.
First Light, Lost Legacy.
Where you play as Fetch.
Yeah, right. First Light has been a while, but Lost Legacy was a $40 game, so like yes, standalone game, but also not like a full price thing. But at the same time, that was like easily an 8-10 hour thing. Like it didn't feel short to me. So this could very well be pretty substantial, even if it's not like a full priced proper sequel.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Infamous was not. The Infamous First Light was a decently length game, also. But but I think that might be a better. If we think about the type of game that Spider-Man is and the stuff they have shown off when they were doing tech demos and whatever else, like Infamous was like, hey, we have this city already. Let's set a new adventure in it.
Yeah.
And I suspect that's what Spider-Man will end up being, because I think that's what makes the guy's comments make sense. The guy that, clearly did not get his talking points before going and doing that interview when he said it was remastered and all this other stuff. Like, okay, they'll remaster the city. It's still New York, because of course it is.
Right.
And so it's a remaster and expansion on top of that. I think the thing for me is, and I guess it won't. But I was going to say, like, does it have the content of the first Spider-Man game in there? Like,
probably not.
Probably not. Yeah. If they're calling it standalone, then yeah. So yeah, they didn't do themselves any favors with that stuff, or the person who gave that interview and caused all this confusion did not do that game any favors after the fact. But they seem to have clarified it just well enough for it not to be a huge problem. At the same time, like having a thing that might be a more of a budget game being the thing you're leading off with.
Yeah,
that's when you start getting into like, okay, well, what are they launching with? How substantial is it? What are we getting here? And I think those are the questions you start to see form. But at the same time, like, hey, like I thought the stuff they showed of that Spider-Man game looked pretty nice. I thought the stuff that they showed with Ratchet did a good job of starting to show what you might be able to do with a very fast hard drive. Very fast SSD, a very like built around that idea of, hey, we can stream this shit in super fast and not have to load it and do all that stuff. Like they showed what they needed to show to start to illustrate some of those points, I think. And I thought that was effective, really effective.
I'm trying to think. Like, it was Ratchet, it was Spider-Man, there's a new Horizon game, Forbidden West, and I think that's it for full-on proper first-party games, unless the Demon Souls remake finally got announced, and maybe that's also, I guess that would also be full-on exclusive, right?
Yeah,
New Astrobot.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
the
So,
new
a couple.
Sackboy.
Sackboy. Yeah, you're right. So
Sackboy.
there's a couple like maybe smaller games, but
They
quite-
got timed exclusives
Right.
for Deathloop.
that's what I was going to say. Is it's a lot of third-party stuff that is somehow temporarily exclusive. We don't know how
Yeah.
long. If that's 30 days or 6 months or who knows.
Yeah. Oh, Gran Turismo.
Yes,
as well.
Gran Turismo. Right.
I love, like, like they showed They actually showed a lot of Gran Turismo, and I think they showed the right stuff. I just love that, like, they're like unveiling GT7, and they're like, look at this garbage ass menu. That's how you know it's a real game, because this sucks. Like every other Gran Turismo game, here's some dumbass map, and it says here's home and here's this, and just like here's all these trash ass UI elements we cram into these Gran Turismo games every time. That's fantastic.
Cars still look pretty good.
The cars look great.
Cars
The
look
lighting
better than
around,
ever.
the lighting looks great. Like it looks real nice.
Better and wetter than ever.
Just like me.
Oof. I mean, I will say personally, the more I think about this thing, the more that the games that really stuck with me were more kind of indie cross-platform games that just happened to get unveiled here.
You just want to
Yeah.
talk about Bug Snacks, huh?
That's all you want to talk
Talking,
about.
I'm talking about Bug Snacks.
My weenie hands.
Oh, you talking bug snacks? 100 bug snacks. That's how many bug snacks that game's gonna
They're
have.
bugs, but they're also snacks. I just fucking the strongest Viva Pinata vibes off the first like 20 seconds of that trailer
Right?
that I could have possibly gotten.
Yep.
And I'm still not entirely sure what kind of game that is, but I don't care.
Yeah, I trust them. I'm ready.
I want to make the bug snacks kiss and make more bug snacks.
Do you think when their lips touch, they bug snack out on their
Maybe.
mouth?
Oh man.
I honestly Phil Tibbs, if you're listening, like I have been on the cusp of wanting to just ask him what they're making for like years at this point.
Yeah. Same here.
But I didn't want to, I didn't want to like,
Yeah.
overstep. I was like, if he wants to talk about it, he'll talk about it when they're ready. But
Yeah.
I was not expecting that.
I think there are like character names in bugs like
Did they put out like
Elizabeth Megafig.
did they put out like ancillary information that I have not
Yeah.
seen?
Snacktooth Island.
Okay.
Um,
Oh wow, there's like PC Store pages up for this game now.
There are, yeah. Explore the diverse biomes of Snacktooth Island to track down and reunite the inhabitants of Snacksburg.
Okay.
Yeah, there are just a lot of really good character names and stuff across the board
Yeah,
in Bug Snacks.
I hope they went real hard on the animal food portmanteau type stuff.
Yeah, I guess I don't see any
Straw
any
beetle
real
or
information about the
something.
names of the individual bug snacks now that
Yeah.
now that you mention it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got a bunch of really solid names. Discover, hunt, and capture all 100 different species of bug snacks
Okay.
using a variety of contraptions and bait.
Oh
Oh,
man.
it's like
Do you mate?
it's like an ape escape.
Do you mate them after
They're
you
an
catch
ape
them?
escape.
I don't. Is there a mating dance involved? Stuff your new friends with bug snacks to customize them with countless new looks.
I love stuffing my friends.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess the story is you get invited to the island by Elizabeth Megafig, and when you get there, she is missing, and her camp is in
Oh, no.
shambles.
Okay.
So you have to figure out.
She got eaten.
What
by the bug
happened?
snacks.
Yes,
And they turned into her.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
If I can just do a little bit of gardening along the way, I'm good. That's all I need.
Let's hope.
I think Little Devil Inside looked charming as hell.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that looked really cool. Like, a lot of good. Like
Mhm.
Stray, I thought was super striking.
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm personally really excited for Tokyo Ghostwire.
Yeah, that looked way
Yeah, that
better.
looked neat.
I mean, nothing against Tango Gameworks, but like Evil Within was cool, but not super cool, and didn't really do that much for me. But like, this looked way more stylish and interesting than I expected from them.
The finger guns in that game. Oh man.
Hitman 3 got confirmed.
Yeah.
it looks pretty damn
I'm so
good.
excited for that story conclusion.
Most dangerous
yeah.
mission yet.
All kinds of stuff. It was a pretty strong showing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I had a lot of friends that like after the when was the Xbox or the Microsoft presentation? Like about
like late
a month
May,
and a half
I
ago.
think. It's kind of mid-late
Yeah.
May, mid-May, something
Yeah.
like that.
like I didn't see any buzz from like my social groups at all about it, but after like this presentation, like maybe it was like the time, like it's around E3 time ish that like I had a lot of friends kind of expecting something big, but then like all of social media for like my friend groups just blasted with PS5 stuff and bug snacks.
I mean, to be fair to Microsoft, like Sony has held more back for longer. You know, like Microsoft showed us what the box looked like what 6 months ago at this point or something.
Like that. Yeah,
they've been out there with more info, so Sony there was probably just more pent up demand for PlayStation stuff.
But you know, Microsoft didn't do themselves any favors with that last event.
No,
I mean,
definitely.
You know,
not.
they and I think splitting the third party and first party stuff. Like, I get that they want to try to have a regular cadence of events, but I feel like the Sony event, maybe I wonder if that will change anything about their approach, the reaction to the Sony event, I guess I should say.
Just a much bigger like cross section of types of games at this, I think. Than
like it had a
like I remember a lot of edginess from the Microsoft thing, and this is a lot more something for everyone. I feel like
this felt like PS2 era in a lot of ways. I think, and you know the types of games being shown, like relatively colorful stuff along the way, like it had this kind of throwback vibe to it that like. Though they didn't necessarily talk a ton about they opened with like their little montage about the legacy of the PlayStation or whatever the hell else. But I think the games that they chose to show here, the third party stuff that they picked, I think it was a good array of games. That was like it was refreshing and nice. That said, like, you know, I still really want to see what the hell Halo ends up being.
Totally. Totally.
So, you know, they've certainly got stuff to say too, but
absolutely.
But you know, you're right. Sony held back longer, and I think what they came with was strong.
Held back longer, came out stronger.
Yeah,
that's the. Yep. There's a quote out of Jim Ryan since that thing that's worth reading.
Please let me out of this PlayStation 5. Oh God, I'm trapped.
It's very hot. It's very hot in here.
Yeah,
I'm melting.
Piss.
Damn it.
This is about the price. Jim Ryan did an interview with BBC in which he said this: conventional wisdom and history show that our business is one of the most recession-proof businesses. But I think this will sharpen our need to ensure that what we focus on getting the. I'm sorry. Let me try that again. But I think this will sharpen our need to ensure that we focus on getting the value equation right, and I emphasize value as opposed to price, which I feel like is a pretty telling quote.
Yeah, that's like
not going to be cheap.
Like, look at what you're getting.
Right.
Look at this. It's shaped like a cool V.
Yeah, and honestly,
of course it's $600.
I wonder what that says for backwards compatibility. They haven't announced much in terms of that, of course.
Yeah.
But, you know, I wonder if that might be something that is included. They could say, "Hey, you're getting 2 past generations worth of software."
You tell me if this is premature, but I feel like my hopes for like the grand tapestry of PlayStation backwards compatibility are fading pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I feel like if that was really in the cards, they would have come out with that.
They would have been up front with that.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the some of the branding and stuff. Like they opened with that thing honoring the legacy of PlayStation and showing all the way back to PS1, and you halfway expect them to come out and say like, and you can play all those games.
I mean, like the presentation started with the boot up of the PlayStation 1.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I was like, "Fucking, here we go! All right, they're gonna show."
I got excited.
They're gonna show sticking a PS1 disc in this thing, and it works.
That's just Adam Boyes comes back to hand a PS1 game to Shu, and then they put it in, and it just loads, and they go, "Oh shit!" And then boom, cut to black.
Yeah. And if you had that, would you lead with it?
No, I don't know.
I probably would.
I feel like a lot of people outside of like the hardcore industry would go wild for that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh, 100%.
Nostalgia is a very potent force to play on, for better or worse.
Yeah, and
it's not just nostalgia though. Like it is a value add.
Oh, it is. Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and also it by just the nature of how this stuff will work, it'd be a value add for the disc, the version of the console that has a disc drive on it.
Yep.
And so that's another case where, like, if they wanted to find reasons to say, here's why it's $100 difference and not $50 difference, you don't get any of the backwards compatibility stuff on the disc-free console or something like that. You know, who knows?
Yeah, I guess that wouldn't be the first time they've done something like that, right? Like I'm trying to think.
I thought all the
wasn't it-
PS3s were backwards compatible at launch. It was just they eventually phased it out.
I could have sworn it was only the 60 gig, like the 40 gig didn't
I
have
think
it.
it was just the
Was it?
60
Okay.
gig, yeah.
Or something
I
like
don't
that?
think- I do not remember.
I forget. I expected
Pretty
we
sure.
would get a bunch of PS5 email questions. I mean, technically we did, but they were practically all the same question of
What's
people.
up with bug snacks?
Yes, exactly. They all just said, "Would you be talking about bug stacks?" No. Like 99% of the questions were, "How much cheaper do you think the digital edition is going to be?" Specifically,
$3 cheaper.
specifically, like, do you think they will discount it dramatically as a way of just getting people into their digital ecosystem and recoup on all the games they will have to buy it directly from Sony?
I don't think like if you think about where digital purchases have been trending even before everyone was at home, like we were already heading in that direction in a real way. So I don't think they need to force it because I think it's just happening naturally over
Right.
the course of this generation. Sales on digital storefronts have been getting better and more frequent.
Yeah.
Um,
Sony's been really good about some deep ass discounts on a lot of games.
Yeah, I don't think they're quite at a Steam level.
quite.
You know, they're not having like a Steam sale, but like around the holidays and some of the different stuff throughout the year, like they have decent discounts. So
Yeah.
I feel like they're already.
I got Days Gone for like $12.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got Uno for
I
$2.99.
got nothing from you guys.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's like $11 too much. But so yeah, I don't. I feel like they're kind of like just heading in that direction naturally, and they don't need to goose it with a discless console. And so I don't know that they necessarily are you know they benefit for sure, but also they benefit from every new disc based game sold. Also, I don't think that they need to kill off used games quite as dramatically as other people seem to,
Especially the way that a lot of
GameStop
games
is doing
are,
that by themselves.
exactly. Like it's you know, and Amazon does use games. Other people do, but
Plus,
like
most games are monetizing beyond the initial purchase at this point, or
Right.
a lot of them are anyway.
Yeah,
I would be shocked if the discless version is more than $50 cheaper.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I would say 50 at most.
I
Personally,
think 50 makes sense from a like you know if you look at the parts and all that sort of stuff. Like I think that's sensible, but also I still don't think $50 is enough to matter.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're not coming out and saying this is $100 cheaper, is that a meaningful price cut for enough people to where it feels like it softens the blow of if the high end version is you know $600,
right?
if it's $600 and the other one's $549, like $549 is still quite a lot of money.
I think it definitely makes a difference for some people, especially if you're somebody like me who at this point is kind of resigned to an all digital path. Like I have no interest. If it was $25 cheaper, that doesn't really change my opinion just because I don't have the desire to have physical media anymore.
Well, I'll tell you this: some publishers are probably going to send us games on disc.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, we have to.
so
deal
for
with
you
that.
personally, I might.
sure, but I mean, like, you know, I know there's other people who don't work in the industry who are like me on that front.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and also I think the version without the drive looks nicer. It's a more
it definitely does.
fully realized version of their
It's
design.
so weird that it's on the bottom.
Yeah.
If you're like doing the horizontal and it's on the, I don't like that
Yes.
at all.
I think it
Strange.
would look crazier if it was on top. If it was just this warped bump.
I'm just thinking
popping
from a
out the
pure
top.
like I'm bending down to where my consoles are, and now I have to look under the part where it sticks out to put a disc in. Not for me.
It's weird. It's weird.
So you think $5.99 for the disc version,
That's my guess.
based on what he said?
I
hope
based
not.
on what he said.
Maybe
like,
I don't know, man. I feel like no less than $4.99 with a quote like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no less than certainly. But also like $5.99 is not the same amount of money as it was last time they did it.
Yeah.
And but also I don't think Microsoft will come in that high.
I didn't realize this until this stuff has all come back up, and I was going back and looking at old news stories that they have been eating. Maybe not now, but at launch, they were eating a loss on Xbox One X's. Like they were
Really?
selling. They were selling,
I
which is the
remember
first
reading
time.
that, yeah.
First time like a company has done that in a while, right?
yeah.
So Microsoft crossed that bridge already. Like I'm super curious to see if like that's their answer to Sony's strong showing is like, well, check this out.
And I think that's why you didn't get a price here, and why the price is going to be that like last minute, like, oh, they're playing chicken with each other on the price stuff.
Yeah.
It really seems that way. And
not only is Microsoft just a massively bigger company with more cash in the bank, but Game Pass is like a pretty strong factor at this point, right? So
yeah,
like they can extra justify, if we can, especially if they're rolling out like a $20 a month or whatever, like payment plan style package. Pay us $25 a month and you get the Series X and Xbox Live Gold and Game Pass or whatever.
Yeah, they seem like they're better aligned to maybe subsidize the cost of the box or take more of a hit on the price of the console just to get more people in the ecosystem. I think, like, especially if you look at kind of just how the Xbox One, how this generation has gone for them, like they are in a position where they probably want to be aggressive there to just get back to where they were in the generation before that. So
I also think.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think you're right that they are playing chicken with each other, but they're also probably hesitant to, if the price is $600 or something like that, with the, we have record unemployment numbers and stuff. Like, I wonder if not for all this COVID stuff, if we would have gotten the price already. Like, it's a lot easier when the economy is in a better position to say, like, here is this expensive console.
People have gone back and looked, and at this point in the last cycle, they had announced prices.
Sure.
Yeah, but you have quotes out of Jim Ryan and Phil Spencer, both relatively recently, both kind of commenting about the gaming industry being relatively recession proof. And so I think they both are coming in feeling confident that they can move hardware, especially at launch, right? I mean, the quantities that they'll probably have day one, month one, whatever it is, there will be enough people that can afford that number of consoles to sell through, I think. No matter how many, whatever reasonable number they can make for launch, like they'll sell them.
They do tend to be somewhat supply constrained at the beginning, right?
Yeah. So in that sense, I think they'll sell them for whatever they charge, within reason, obviously, but they can't then have a really fast price cut without angering a bunch of people and all that stuff too. It's mess. It's a real mess. But yeah, with that quote from Jim Ryan, like I wouldn't have thought that $599 seemed like a realistic price. I would have thought that like $549 is probably the upper limit here. But
I mean, that's the meme, right? The $600 Sony console.
Yeah, but like what again? Like
I know it's a very small fraction of the audience and stuff, but like they know.
They know, but also it's just the reality.
Sure.
Of like how much is this stuff going to cost for them to make, and how much of a hit can they afford to
take? They have to make money.
Speaking of $599, there's another quote from this interview that kind of harkened back to that stuff. And like, granted, I mean, I know he means this. He has the best intentions saying something like this, but he describes the value proposition that they are trying to create as something that, quote, makes this something that our community aspires towards. And just the word aspires really reminded me of the, like, you will want to get a second job to get a PS3.
Yeah, like saying console ownership is aspirational is that sounds like a code for this is going to cost a whole lot of fucking money.
Yeah. Yep. Yes.
And it's going to cost a whole lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
Yep. The Xbox will also cost a whole lot of fucking money, but I strongly suspect it will cost somewhat less. than a PlayStation 5.
That's,
I don't know.
you make a pretty strong argument. That's what won the last generation for Sony, right? PS4 was more powerful and cost less.
Oh yeah,
that's a pretty.
I think the Xbox kind of marketing stuff definitely, or the way they announced it and had to backpedal all that stuff.
Sure, there were a lot of
confusion
factors
around that. Definitely was a factor. But at the end of the day, yes, here's a more powerful console for less, and if that's what Microsoft is about to do, I suspect it will go very well for them.
Yeah.
They have a lot to gain.
Yes.
From that.
Yeah, they do. And it gets right. Yeah, exactly. It gets right back into, Microsoft as a services company, and, Windows 10 being the last version of Windows, and or whatever else, whatever else they end up doing.
Just gotta get you in that ecosystem.
Yeah.
Start monetizing your ass.
Like, get you a Game Pass subscription.
Please don't monetize my ass.
Sorry, Ben.
Yeah.
Too late.
All
My
right.
assets ready for monetization. Let's go.